Good evening. I'm Jim McKay, welcoming you to a party, to a celebration, if you will, of the 20th anniversary of ABC's Wide World of Sports. During the next hour and a half, you'll be seeing some of the athletes we've met along the way and reliving some of the great moments. It's been a long trip, really. We've gone from Alan Shepard in that first tiny space capsule to the Mammoth space shuttle. And as I say, we've had a lot of adventures along the way. But it all started on April 29th, 1961. Like this. I'm Jim McKay at Franklin Field in Philadelphia for the 67th annual Penn Relay Carnival. Each Saturday for the next 20 weeks, we'll be taking our cameras to the scene of famous sports events all over the world. A new series crossing new horizons in sports. Sports, in its unending variety, unfolds on ABC's Wide World of Sports, capturing the sight and sound, the emotion, the beauty and history-making achievements wherever men gather to compete in this great wide world of athletics. Who would have thought that the 20-week series would stretch to 20 years, or that in that first summer we would take 20 tons of equipment and half 100 engineers to Moscow to see a U.S.-Soviet track meet and to watch wonderful Wilma Rudolph. Taking it, jumping over, up in front, and Rudolph giving it everything. Here she comes, Wilma Rudolph, taking her way to the finish line. She's going to make it. Who could have predicted that we would be the first network sports department to visit Castro's Cuba for a volleyball game? Or that Castro himself would end up translating for his interpreter.
Can you tell me what the commandante said?
Dice, el comandante dice que él cree.
We were first in network sports to visit the People's Republic of China, too, for gymnastics. But while we were there, we saw the wall and met the people and found a surprising friendliness everywhere we went. We were up at dawn with our cameras to watch thousands of Chinese taking their morning exercise in the Great Square. Among them, the old people, practicing the ancient art of Tai Chi. We journeyed up the Danube on our way to Vienna in 1967 and saw those famous castles. In Vienna, in the last World Championships of figure skating held outdoors, we watched and marveled at the artistry of Ludmila and Oleg Protopopov, world pairs champions from the Soviet Union. Who might have guessed that in time they would defect and do their skating in the United States? Or that 12 years later, we would return to Vienna to watch the young Americans, Ty Babylonia and Randy Gardner, win the championship that the Protopopovs had worn so well. We found summertime sentiment back home in Indiana as the balloons rose to the sky, signifying the start of the Indianapolis 500. We watched the great drivers compete, from A.J. Foyt to Jim Clark and Johnny Rutherford to Mario Andretti. Here winning in 1969 and getting for his reward a kiss from car owner Andy Granatelli. Who would have thought that we would visit Las Vegas, where the neon lights and flashing incandescent bulbs obscure the beauty of the western sunset, not for the shows or the gambling, but for sport, ranging from rodeos to boxing, especially boxing. WBC champion Larry Holmes here. But we also saw Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard and many more. We've seen the wide world, all right, but no sunset anywhere looks better than the ones we see arriving back home in New York. And no castle on the Rhine or great sculpture in Italy ever looks quite as good as the Statue of Liberty when the plane lowers over Manhattan on its way to LaGuardia or JFK, and we know that we're almost home again. Still, who would have thought 20 years ago that we'd have a night like this, when the great athletes we've seen would gather with us as the sun sets on Park Avenue to recall the times that have been, athletes like O.J. Simpson and Mario Andretti. Wilma Rudolph, still looking wonderful 20 years later. 1968 decathlon champion Bill Toomey. Eric Heiden, he of the 5 gold medals. Fred Pierce, president of ABC Television, is with us. And so is the great mile runner Jim Ryan. Dr. and Mrs. Greg Jenkins, she's Peggy Fleming. Mr. and Mrs. Arthur Ashe. Susan Anton is here to sing. Mr. and Mrs. Muhammad Ali, They've all come to Park Avenue in the Waldorf, where Winston Churchill spoke and Elsa Maxwell gave a party for Cole Porter, where presidents and astronauts have gathered, where the Explorers Club has feasted on quail eggs and hippopotamus, and where tonight we'll toast that 20-year journey through the wide world of sports. Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport. The thrill of victory. And the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. Tonight we celebrate 20 years of ABC's Wide World of Sports.
The special 20th anniversary edition of ABC's Wide World of Sports is brought to you by Michelob Light, an exceptional light beer with a rich, smooth taste. By Cellini Cologne, created in Italy by Fabergé, where life is for living and loving. Viva Cellini. And by the Continental Insurance Companies and their 12,000 agents throughout the U.S. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Grand Ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria in New York, Mr. Jim McKay.
Thank you. To tell you why we are here, we simply have to say, who is here? And who is here are the people who made ABC's Wide World of Sports, after 20 years, what it is. The longest running, most successful sports series in the history of television. And those people range from Leonard Goldenson, who had faith in his little old raggle-taggle sports department back in 1961, to Roone, who, of course, produced all those shows in the early days personally, and still the guiding spirit of everything we do, to the men and women of the ABC sports production team, week after week and year after year, and 36, 48 hours at a time sometimes, to broadcast operations and engineering, Julie Barnathan's people, to, yes, indeed, the commentators, who have spoken some of the finest English sentences ever heard. The sales guys have gone out and have sold the commercials, without which we wouldn't be on the air. John Lazarus and his men. But primarily the people who have made this show and the people we want to honor tonight are the athletes, because it's been through them that we've had the grist for our mill. We have had the stories to tell. We have the wonderful things to see. These athletes who through their dedication, through their talent, and through their personality also.
What she would like most to see in America.
Вообще не знаю. Но я бы очень хотела побывать в Нью-Йорке.
I simply don't know. I really can't tell I would like to see. But what I would like to see probably was New York.
She wanted to see New York, and now on this early spring weekend she is here. Same routine as that Monday night.
All right, now here it comes. No margin for error. Back, Summy catch. She did it again. And watch this free drop into a hip circle. There's just no let up in this exercise. Pivot, stomach whip, drop kip, and the dismount.
That was Olga. They came in different sizes and colors and spoke many different tongues. Edson Arantes do Nascimento, known to the world as Pelé, here leading Brazil to the World Cup Soccer Championship in Mexico, 1970. When his career seemed over, he came to America and built the sport with the power of his personality. Then played his farewell game one rainy day in New Jersey.
Please say to me, say with me, 3 times. Love. 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 Thank you very much. Muito obrigado.
Yes, love is what this day is about. The love of this man for a game and his love for the children of the world who play it. The love of hundreds of millions of people around the world for this warm and simple man who so obviously believes what he says. Join us as we say farewell to Pelé.
Pelé celebrated the day the way he knew best.
Pelé with a hard shot into the goal. A shot into the goal. Pelé has scored in his last half for the Cosmos. And this is what today is all about. The music is Auld Lang Syne, but it isn't New Year's Eve because there's no tomorrow in the career of Pelé. No New Year coming, not as far as that playing career is concerned. But we said the story was about love today. And there it is. The love of the man for the people, the love of the people for the man, the kind of a hero we all want to see.
Then there was Arnie, as in Palmer, enlisting all of Scotland as recruits in his army the day they almost crushed him with admiration at Troon.
Wait a minute. Here he comes. He made it. And I hope that is a mock limp Palmer's putting on as he finally gets up to the 18th tree.
Kel Nagel made a great putt, and then...
Now Arnold Palmer, with about a 20-footer. He could play this pretty safely, lag it up, get his par 4, and break the record by a shot. Hello. And he made it. Arnold Palmer breaks the record for the British Open by 2 shots with a total of 276.
The word is used in horse racing and boxing and in life, and Smokin' Joe always had it, in victory or defeat, in good times or bad. The word is class.
Frazier giving it to him and giving it to him. Right there. A left that missed, another right that connected. Down goes Ellis. Down goes Ellis.
And Joe Frazier had won the title. Later, Howard would unconsciously echo that phrase he used when Joe lost his title to George Foreman one night on the island of Jamaica.
I think he hurt Joe Frazier. I think Joe is hurt. Angie Dundee, Ali's trainer, right next to me is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
Yes, it's been a long trip for Smokin' Joe, from working in a Philadelphia slaughterhouse to the heavyweight championship of the world to the permanent place he holds tonight with the other great personalities of sport. You'll meet many more as we celebrate 20 years of Wide World of Sport. Again, a good look at Paris in the background here. Beautiful buildings of this loveliest of all cities. It's been described as looking like a woman with flowers in her hair. As they climbed the northwest pillar, using the rivet heads for footholds, the mountaineers paused at each level, once for some lunch and a bottle of wine, then finally were up and over. That was a scheduled climb. But George Willig's ascent of the World Trade Center in New York was strictly his own idea. We followed George after that, and we're televising live from Angel's Landing in Zion National Park when Bill Fleming described a shocking moment. George was very near the top, but suddenly in trouble.
Oh, my God. George, are you all right?
Yep. You okay, George? Yep.
You sure?
Yep.
Hang on for a second and check yourself.
Don't even try to talk.
Just knocked the wind out of me. Just hang there for a minute, George.
Yeah, I'm fine.
George Willig's near disaster, some 1,400 feet above the base of Angel's Landing. After catching his breath, he finished the climb. There was the Frenchman, Philippe Petit, walking a tightrope between the towers of a French cathedral. He told us why he does it.
I love to climb. I love to live my life. And here in the middle of that white, you really feel that you live because you are carrying your life from one side to another, to feel myself living. That's the main thing. But on the other way, there is also, I love to do shows. I love to show myself.